Back with our top story of the day, US, Israel and Iran continue trading strikes as the Israeli defense minister warns the war could continue without any time limit. And Olly Barratt, who is watching developments for CNA, joins us live now again from Erbil in Iraq. Now, Olly, Iran is now eyeing attacks on both the US and Israeli economic targets. That's in retaliation for a strike on its own bank. So how are Israel and the Gulf nations preparing for this?
Well, they are certainly looking at contingency plans to make sure that they are as prepared as possible for all sorts of different eventualities. And they will be trying to make sure that there are plans in place to respond if they are attacked in different ways via the financial system or hacked, for example, those types of eventualities. And I think it is seen here in the Middle East region by analysts as a clear indication that Iran feels that the reaction we've seen from Washington in recent days to the spiking oil price at times, where I think Iran feels that Washington and Donald Trump and those around him have been spooked by some of that, the effects on the American economy, Iran feels that that is potentially a reason to go down that path because they feel it could be fruitful in maybe getting the Americans to start to consider whether this is a military campaign they should be pulling back from. But certainly Gulf nations in the wider Middle East as well, and the Americans, but also economies beyond that that are linked very much to the global economy, will be on high alert now for the possible implications of what Iran seems to be threatening.
Yeah. Well, Olly, we also know that Israel is launching fresh strikes in Lebanon, including the heart of the capital, Beirut. So what's the latest you have on that?
That's right. We've seen fresh strikes on Beirut, but also strikes over the last couple of days, and including today as well, on the east of Lebanon, the southern Lebanon area as well. In the east, we're told by local health officials that in the latest wave of strikes, there have been a handful of deaths, including children, and several dozen people injured as well. To the south, we've been hearing from health officials saying they're seeing injuries every single day now. And health officials inside Lebanon say since the conflict restarted, since Israel's air campaign got up and going again, they say that well over 500 people have lost their lives over the course of that period. And it is something that Israel says are a wave of strikes that are being carried out because of the actions, it says, of Hezbollah. And it talked about a wide-scale range of attacks earlier today when it was describing the latest round of strikes on Iran and also on targets in Lebanon, which it says are linked to Hezbollah.
Yeah, well, Olly, you're in Iraq right now, and we're hearing reports of strikes there, including on a US diplomatic facility. What more do we know?
That's right. That diplomatic facility is in Baghdad. It's where a number of US diplomatic staff are. We're told no casualties at this point. It is thought to have been carried out by an umbrella group of militias linked to Iran. And that is something that we need to keep a very close eye on, because we've also seen in this conflict so far American strikes inside Iraq on Iran-backed militia groups. Here in the north, in Iraqi Kurdistan, we have again seen a series of drone strikes carried out, it's believed, by Iran-backed militia groups inside of Iraq. So just one illustration of how very complicated this entire situation is. Here in Erbil, overnight, there was another drone strike close to the airport here, just outside the city centre, and that is where the US and the coalition forces that withdrew from the rest of Iraq now have a significant base. They do have the ability, therefore, though, to intercept drones, and that, it appears, is what happened to the latest drone that came in this direction overnight here in Erbil.
Olly, thank you so much for that update. There was Olly Barratt reporting for CNA live from Erbil, Iraq.